All right. Some shit needs to be said, I guess. Apparently, folks have forgotten that the world is not a fucking blanket statement, and that the problem with a lot of injustice is that we blanket statement everything. And if we're gonna go and do that, then we need to accept the bullshit. And I'm just straight out. This is bullshit. I fucking hate the idea. I'm just saying that this is not righteous. And if you want to be on a fucking level of not righteous, you need to not be around me. We need to, if we're gonna go with full on blanket generalizations, then I'll put it this way: all Jews are pedos. All Muslims are pedos. All Americans are pedos. All Europeans are pedos. All British folks are pedos. All Russians are pedos. In fact, all of fucking humanity are pedos. You see how retarded that sounds? Because I know that there's a lot of you out there that fucking hate that idea. I know I'm full against it. I know I'm not some fucking chomo. I don't enjoy that shit. I don't like that idea. Matter of fact, a kid walks up to me and I'm not thinking about, doing the daggum dirty in the sheets. I'm thinking about, well, why is this kid walking up to me? What could possibly be wrong that they're asking me for help rather than going to their parents? So, this is some shit that we need to stop. Sure, be biased against the motherfuckers that are actually doing it. By all means, I fucking cannot stand those sons of bitches, and I hope to God they get burned alive. But when it comes down to, doing the whole blanket statement bullshit, we need to stop that right the fuck now, because otherwise we need to own everybody else's problems. And I don't know about you, but I'm not owning your fucking problems. Your problems are yours. My problems are mine, and we need to keep it that way. Plain and fucking simple. I have met a fucking plethora of Jews who are the nicest people on the planet, who are willing to take, out of their own pocket, out of their own time, and out of, the love out of their own hearts to help people who really need help. On the flip side, I've also met a few that were pieces of shit. So, like I said, it's not the religion per se in that respect. I mean, yes, religion is it is society's accepted mental illness, and I will never fucking change from that idea. But when it comes down to it, if we're going to go and blanket statement entire fucking groups of people, then we need to accept for our own group of people that the fucking shit that they do is our problem as well. I don't know about you, but I don't fucking accept that. Your problems are your fucking problems, and if you don't fix your fucking problems, I'm gonna fix you. That's how we need to think about this world. Because otherwise, we will not fix ourselves. So I'm gonna be very plain out and sincere about this. Joe, I agree. Yes, the fucking Talmud is a fucking piece of shit because of what it suggests, that the biases it suggests. Do I think that all Jews are fucking chomos? Absolutely not. Do I think that all Jews are fucking out there stealing everybody's money and running the banks and shit like that into the ground so that they can fucking have ultimate power? No, I do not think that's the case. I think that there are some of them that are. I think that there are some of them that are chomos and some of them are super bankers and all that shit. But no, I don't think that all of them are. As a matter of fact, I am pretty certain, because of my experience in life, that not all of them are. In fact, most of them are not. And it's the same thing with, let me put it this way, all right? Throughout history, the Catholic Church has been an absolute tower of fuckery and just the worst, the absolute worst humanity has to fucking offer. I mean, how many bishops have you heard diddling kids? I mean, how many pastors have you heard of diddling kids? Yet, my dad was Catholic. He was a third degree Knight of Columbus. And that man beat the absolute brakes off of a motherfucker who was trying to snatch up my little sister. So when it comes down to it, are all this way? No. Some of them, sure. Absolutely. Be more than happy to accept that because let's be clear, it's not the fucking group, it's the person. Plain and simple, it's not the group, it's the person. Just like it's not the gun, it's the idiot holding it. It's all full fucking circle, man. You can't have one without having the other. So let's be fair and honest. Not fucking pieces of shit like, the ones that we're going after, because that's not okay. You cannot accept that you yourself are allowed to go after people who are pieces of shit if you yourself cannot hold yourself to a higher standard. I do hold myself to a higher standard. I consider myself to be a good person who tries hard to be a good person. And sometimes has to do dastardly shit in order to make sure that good people prevail. I also recognize that there are some dastardly motherfuckers out there that do some good things in this world. It's never black and white. It is a fucking gray area a mile long, and it sucks ass. But you know what the fact of the matter is? It's for that same reason that Jews hate Hamas and the Palestinians and all that, because one or two or, half the fucking community attacked them, and so now they're going after the entire fucking community. Again, it's not the whole, it is the fucking part. And the part is what is wrong with it. Christ said, if your left hand offend you, cut it from your body and fling it from you. If your right eye offend you, pluck it out and cast it from you. This is actually the teachings of Christ, the most super duper kind person on the planet, right? What he was speaking about in a parable, basically, was that if a part of your community is causing you issues, then that part of that community needs to be cast from you before it destroys the rest of it. But if you cast the entire community away, it'd be the same as cutting off your head to spite your toe. It makes no sense. This is the point that I'm making. You don't go after the whole group. You go after the singular pieces of shit. The singular pieces of shit. Yes. That fucking dude that you sent me that post about that. Yeah, okay. I agree. Yeah, he needs to be fucking taken out, dragged out in the street and covered in a fucking lump of stones. Let's be clear. That's exactly what the fucking Talmud actually prescribes for pieces of shit like that. Now, that being said, not every Jew is like that. As a matter of fact, one of the places where I was when I was a young man was a Jewish-run facility, and the alternative for me at the time to that Jewish-run facility was a state-run facility. There were a couple of pieces of shit there that were part of the Jewish community that ran the place, and they were absolute fucking pieces of shit and garbage, and they got fired. There were also some really, really good people there who were Jewish. And there were Christians there This is why I keep on saying it's not the whole community. It is one shitbag stinking up the entire litter box. It is one fucking bad apple rotting out the bushel. We need to not get our heads caught in our asses with this whole situation of, oh, well, this one guy did this fucking one bad, or this dozen bad things. And so all of them, all these people that associate their ideals with what this guy associates his ideals with are bad because what he did. Wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. The Jewish Bible and the Christian Bible are the same fucking book. The same fucking book. One just happens to have a little bit extra to it. I'm going to really piss you off now. Because I'm going to put it to you fucking fair and square. In the Old Testament, in war, God commanded the Jews, and by proxy, the Christians, that when they go to war, to set their face to every living thing. So are you saying you are going to war with the Jews? Because I'm not going to take part in that. I'm just not going to take part in that shit. If you're setting your face to every single fucking Jew, bro, then you are basically saying that, you know what? These people are my enemy. And if the enemy of my enemy is my friend, then you're signing yourself over to being willing to be part of Hamas. Do you understand what that fucking says about you? Because I know that you ain't that kind of mind. I know that. I'm not a retard. I'm just saying, do you understand what you are saying? This is why I don't set myself against a group. I set myself against individuals. You don't go after the whole hand. You go after the fucking finger that's infected. This is the idea behind that. And this is why I want to say this to you, brother. Yes, the son of a bitch that you showed me does need to have his fucking, his cojones canceled. However, that doesn't mean that the whole damn community needs to be the same. Yes, I understand the Talmud is a piece of fucking bookwork. But the Talmud is not the entirety of the Old Testament. And the Old Testament is actually what you, as a Jew, would be adherent to. The Talmud is simply the first 5 books of the Old Testament. If you know what the first 5 books are, that is Genesis, Deuteronomy, Leviticus, Numbers, and God, I can't remember the last one. I think it's Kings. But anyways, my point is, again, is that it's not the whole. It is not the lump sum. It is the singular individual who gives the entire lump sum a bad name. It's for this very same reason why the whole, in America, blacks were hated on, is because one white person was hurt by a black person, and then that white person said, all black people are this way. And it goes back through the fucking centuries over and over again, self-repeating self-perpetuating bullshit. This sort of shit needs to stop, and we need to be the stop of it. I'm not saying don't hate these sons of bitches that are hurting kids, because they need to be fucking hated. They need to be fucking reprimanded. They need to be fucking nixed out of existence. Because they will never stop. But the ones who just happen to believe in God the same way? Do we need to nix them out of existence as well? I mean, like I said, yes, they're all fucking mentally ill, but does that mean that they need to be nixed out of existence as well? Because if that's the case, then every single human being needs to fucking be vaporized. Let's be clear. Every human being on this fucking planet is mentally ill. You pick up a DSM-3, you go through that motherfucker, and I guarantee you will find a diagnosis that fits your mentality. Every single human being on this planet. Guarantee it. All the way up to President Trump. All the way up to fucking Jesus Christ himself. And if you think I'm lying, motherfucker, pick up the book and read it. Otherwise, recognize that there is a reality that you are not willing to accept. Because you wish to feel as if you are not such. That is what is called delusions of grandeur. By the way, that is a mental health disorder in the DSM-3. So I'm going to keep on telling y'all, do not blanket statement the entire fucking goddamn group of people for one motherfucker's fuckery. Take that one motherfucker and shove your foot so far up his ass it pops his ears. But don't go after the whole group for it. That groupthink bullshit is how you get yourself in trouble. That's how you cause yourself trouble. It's how you cause yourself problems. I don't have a problem with most Jewish people. It's the cocksuckers that do not understand what the true teachings are. It's the cocksuckers in the Christian faith that do not understand what the true teachings of Christ were that really piss me off. For instance, those who say, well, Christ said to turn the other cheek. Yeah, you turn the other cheek when you can. When you can. Christ also said, therefore, Simon Peter, go forth and take up your sword, for the time is nigh when you will have to defend the temple of God. Again, these are the things that you do not understand because you're not willing to accept the reality of the world, and that is that this fucking world is fucked up and complicated. I'll put it this way, not all bacteria can infect you, and not all bacteria that can infect you will. But some of those bacteria that can infect you and will infect you will end up making you very sick. And some of those bacteria that can infect you and will infect you will actually help you get better. Biology 101. This is why I say there is a fucking gray area a mile long, and you have to be able to negotiate it. You cannot sit there and say, oh, well, I just don't have the patience for it. Because if you don't have the patience for it, then you don't have the ability. You don't have the ability, which means that you shouldn't even be making a supposition in the first place. But if you have the patience for it, and you have the ability, then you can make those suppositions specific to the individual. All ties back to the weakest link in the chain is always the one that breaks. It's not the rest of the chain's fault. It's just that one link. My ask is that you recognize that it in the grand scheme of shit, Orthodox Jews, kind of shitty people. That one son of a bitch who was fucking around with his kids and doing sexual things to his kids, that is a piece of shit. That even those Orthodox Jews would turn around, drag his ass out into the fucking street, stomp his yarmulke, and fucking stone him into the ground. Do you see the difference here? I hope you do. I mean, I know it's a really complicated bunch of shit to think about, and I know it hurts your head, brother, but seriously, anger at the appropriate angle. Because if you just let your anger flow for everything, pretty soon you make enemies of everyone and they all come at you at the same time. It's better to have allies than enemies. I've learned this in my life with fucking hard won knowledge, hard won learning. It's better to have friends than enemies. Just make sure that you don't make friends with the wrong ones. This is why I have a thing. I don't fucking like chomos. I'll be righteous and fine with, say, like, I don't know, fucking bank robber, or somebody who got thrown in prison because he fucking killed someone because they tried to kill him. Fuck it, dude, you're fucking righteous in my eyes. Or killed somebody because they were a fucking chomo. You're still righteous in my eyes. Not sorry either. No, fucking don't care. And if you verify with chomos, then you need to have your ass fucking reamed daily. Physically, not fucking metaphorically speaking, daily. Till your ass be a blown out motherfucking brown Cheerio. Let's be clear. I don't fucking like those sons of bitches. I think they need to have their comeuppance for the rest of their lives. If they have a life. Otherwise, let's find a wood chipper. Let's find a fucking pile of sticks and stake that motherfucker out and let him fucking cook in the sun. That's how I feel about that shit. That motherfucker. Again, let me emphasize, that motherfucker. That one. Just because they are a piece of shit does not mean that everybody is a piece of shit. This is the big deal here. Otherwise, by that very nature, you're by proxy saying that my granddad was a fucking piece of shit. Chomo, psycho son of a bitch. By that very proxy, you're saying my dad was a chomo piece of shit. Psycho son of a bitch. By that very nature, you're saying that about my mama. Let's be clear. Christians are Jews and Jews are Christians. They're one and the same. It's just that one believes in Christ and one believes in the fact that Christ, I'm not going to say fact. I'm going to say the ideal that Christ has not come back yet. That Christ has not returned. That is the difference between a Jew and a Christian. Let's be clear. The Talmud is part of the fucking Holy Bible. You want to be able to read what the Talmud says? Read the first 5 books of the Bible. Matter of fact, read the first 7 books of the Bible. You'll get a better understanding of it. That is the Talmud. How do I know? Like I said, I was in a Jewish-run facility. They had a synagogue on grounds, but they did not have a Christian church on grounds. So in order to go and do my churchy thing, because at the time I was still in, I was still confirmed Catholic, gonna be, on that level of maybe being part of the papacy. I was gonna go and try to take part in all of that and maybe go and be part of the Swiss Guard. That was my ideal at the time. After, of course, joining the military and all that. I didn't have anywhere else to worship except in a synagogue. Lo and fucking behold, I don't speak Yiddish, so I don't understand what they were saying. But because the rabbi knew all of this stuff about the Talmud and also all of this stuff about the Christian Bible, he turned around and he pointed to the books in the Bible and said, these are the books of the Bible that are the Talmud. You want to know what we're reading about? Read this part. Plain and simple. I was fucking astonished. Because that is what the Talmud is. Everybody fucking gets it so wrong. They say, oh, well, no, the Talmud is all these different laws. Motherfucker, read Leviticus. Read Leviticus. Read Deuteronomy. These are the books of the Talmud. Oh my God, I just broke it to everybody. Hey, guess what? If you're a Christian, you're also a Jew. If you believe in God in any way, shape, or form, you're a Jew. Because the singular God is the construct of the Jewish religion. Native American beliefs didn't even have the Great Spirit until the introduction of Christianity to the New World. Don't believe me, fucking look it up. Please don't believe me. I beg you, go look it up. You will find out for yourself. This is the reality of it. I'm done with this whole beggary bullshit. No. Fuck off with them fucking pieces of shit that are going out and hurting them kids. But everything else, no. They're all right. They ain't doing nobody no harm. They ain't getting no after nobody. They're just believing in their own mental illness, which is precisely why I don't go after the group. I go after the singular sons of bitches. Anti-gunners taking part in a fucking religion. Let's be clear, that is a fucking religion. It is a socially acceptable mental health disorder. No matter how much legislation you write, you will not be able to stop crime. Doesn't fucking matter because criminals are going to crime. It's just that simple. The same thing applies with this other shit. Jews are going to Jew. Christians are going to Christian. Chomos are going to chomo. It's that simple. It is literally that fucking simple. And I beg you find out the separation between the two. There's a reason behind it. I mean, let me put it this way. In American society, right up until the turn of the century, it was legal to marry your wife if she was at the age of 9 and you were at the age of 40. Yes, you heard that right. It was legal. I'm not saying it was morally right. I do not fucking agree with it. I'm just says it was legal. And there are several legal instances of it. Right up until the 1900s. Hell, 1940s, 50s, something like that. My granddad was 19, my grandma was 14. Let that kind of blow your mind. When they was married, mind you. That's actual fucking factual. You can look it up. That's my family history. Now you might say, oh, your granddad was a chomo. No, the fuck he wasn't. He did not touch her till she was 18. The difference is he was off going overseas to fucking war all the time. He met a young woman he really liked and he said, I would like to marry you. Will you marry me? And she said yes. And they waited until she was 18. Would have made my granddad about what was it? 26, 27 years old. Still not a chomo. This is what I'm saying. My granddad was Christian. My grandma was Christian. Even though we still held to the beliefs and the fucking ancient traditions of the Cherokee people, it was still the same fact of the matter. My grandma was raised Protestant. My granddad was raised fucking Baptist. All right? This is what it comes down to. You cannot sit there and says that it's the fucking religiosity's fault that these pieces of shit are going out and hurting little kids. It's those pieces of shit that do not understand or accept that society has fucking changed over the past 500 fucking years. Most Jews don't do that. Most Christians don't do that. They consider it an affront to God. It's the very few individuals that are absolute pieces of garbage that you find that are like that. And I'll says this too. What's this fuckers? That little goblin fucking goop fuck piece of shit that fucking can't even can't even speak a single sentence naturally, has to sit there and sound like this because you think this sounds cool. Bro, I'm just going to be clear. Just because your voice is low doesn't mean that your nuts never dropped. And I don't like that shit. If you're accused of something, prove you ain't. Prove you ain't. I was accused of being interested in going out and murdering somebody who was an elderly person and a doctor who saved my life. I proved that instead of trying to murder them, I was trying to protect their life. There is a difference there, and only you can prove it. So if you're going to be a piece of shit and you're just going to be a piece of shit, don't prove it. Otherwise, prove that you ain't a piece of shit. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, y'all. This is Yo Guardsman and motherfuckers. I'm out.